The accounting department obviously has to work with lots of other parts of the business. So, for example, one of the things that we will talk about in paper F2 is we'll talk about the relationship between the accounts department and production. Things like budgeting. How many items do we actually need to make is one of the most important budgets that you have. You may remember, you may have seen already, you start with the sales budget. That then works back to how many items you are going to have to manufacture. And so we will have to tell the production department how many things to make. We will have to look at how well they are doing. Things like labour efficiency variances, material usage variances would come into that particular section. And also, we will have to do things like calculating overhead absorption rates, all basic F2 things that you will look at there. We also have to liaise with purchasing. One of the other budgets that you have, once you have worked out how many items you're going to produce for the production department, you have to work out how much raw material you are going to need to purchase. So there'll be budgets there. Again, variance analysis here will be things like material price variances. Pricing will be looking at things like the cost of the materials when we do our cost cards. So again, in paper F2, if you haven't got to it already, you will get to it. You start looking at cost cards. What's the material cost? What's the labour cost, etc., etc. And finally, of course, we will need to make sure that we pay for those raw materials. So if we do have any payables, we make sure that they get paid. So we need to know who they are. Another department that we will get involved with that you don't really tend to talk about very much in F2, to be honest with you, is marketing. Now, marketing is going to become a very, very big deal when you get up to P3. We're going to do a lot of this stuff again, but we're going to do it at a more advanced level. So marketing, you have to look again at things like budgeting, how much money they get, how much we're going to have to add to the price of something. Marketing is an overhead, so we need to absorb things. We will have to look at things like how big the market is, the market size. So how many students are studying accountancy around, or how many students are studying ACCA around the world? That's the market size. How many of them study with us? That will be our market share. 10%, 20%, 30%, whatever it happens to be. And finally, assessment of campaigns. We spend £5 million on a marketing campaign, and it means that our number of students goes up by 4%. Does that mean it's been worthwhile? So looking at what you're spending the money on. Now, as I say, that's at paper F1. You don't really need to know a lot about that. We're going to see that more at paper P3. But what you will need to know for paper F1 is you will need to know what the marketing department actually does. So you will need to know about the role that they have.